Is one of the things that hold you back from living an RV life or chasing any of your dreams for that matter, the fear of being alone? You don't want to live alone, you don't want to be alone, or maybe you are an introvert and you don't mind being alone, but you do need company sometimes. And living on the road, living alone, traveling all the time, you wonder, how the heck am I going to meet people? How the heck am I going to get company when I need it if I'm constantly on the move and on my own? Well, those are really great questions, and those are really legitimate reasons to have concerns about living a nomadic life. And so today I'm going to share with you my 6 tips for finding company when you need it. And these tips aren't about joining RV clubs or joining caravans. They're not for people who always want to be around people. These tips are for people who, like me, don't mind being alone, but sometimes needs to come out of their shell and have a little interaction with other human beings. And so I'm going to share those 6 tips with you of the things I do when I feel like I need company that I hope will help you too.
There ain't nobody gonna do it for you. You got to mind your own.
Hi friendlies, I'm Carolyn and welcome back to my RV life. As I said in the intro, not everybody wants to travel with people. Not everybody wants to be in a club. There are tons of different, there are a few different clubs that RVers can join if they don't want to be alone. That's not what this video is about. This video is about for if you're like me, if you're mostly an introvert, and I kind of can go both ways. I can be an introvert. I can also be an extrovert. I love public speaking. I'm really on, and I do really draw a lot of energy from that. Or when I meet viewers and I'm out, and I do get really energized by that, but then I need to go and recharge afterwards for quite a while. So I can do both, and maybe because I can do both, the tips that I'm going to share with you are a little bit easier for me. But if you are really, really, really introverted, you might be scared to death about some of the things that I'm going to talk about, because meeting new people, if you're really shy, meeting new people can be extremely intimidating. So not only am I going to give you my 6 tips for how I get company when I want it, at the very end, I'm going to share with you some of the tips that I used to give small business owners for networking when you're shy. I'm going to give you tips on how to get over that shyness, how to meet people, how to start up a conversation. And again, these are marketing tips that I used to teach small business owners who didn't want to have to go networking and they work. So stay tuned. I'm going to share those with you at the end. My first tip for breaking up the monotony of being alone and getting out and getting some human interaction is to check out meetups. Meetups.com, you sign up, you create a profile, you choose the things that interest you. It could be book clubs, it could be knitting clubs, it could be quilting clubs, hiking, cocktail hours for people of all ages, baby boomers, millennials. If you're interested in it, there is a group for it. Whether there's a group for it in your area is another story, but I would start there. It's a great way if you're going to be, let's say, in Flagstaff, Arizona, you know you're going to be in the area for, several weeks, and you're kind of feeling like, okay, you know what, I've been on my own enough. I need to get out and get some interaction. I'd like to meet people. It's a great way to go out and meet people who have similar interests. You already have common ground, so it's a perfect way to get out and meet people. And you don't have to make lifelong friends, right? Just go, have a good time. And if you do make some great friends that you can see the next time you're in town, go to the meetup again and you'll know people next time. Oh, there's vegan meetups. I actually went to a vegan meetup when I first became a vegan. Thanksgiving Day vegan meetup at a Chinese restaurant. And that was pretty fun. So go ahead, log into meetups, set up an account, and start browsing your interests and start browsing the events that might be going on in your area, and go ahead and RSVP and show up. I dare you. Number 2, one of my favorites is the Sierra Club. Did you know that the Sierra Club websites have outings that anybody can go on? Yeah, that's right. Anybody can go on Sierra Club outings. When I first joined Sierra Club in college, I don't know 30 years ago, you used to have to be a member of Sierra Club in order to participate in their outings, but you don't anymore. So just look at your local Sierra Club chapter, look for outings in your area. They have hikes, they have rafting, they have backpacking trips, day hikes. They have all kinds of fun, active outdoor events if you are an outdoor person and you want to meet other people who like the outdoors as much as you do. I'm going to tell you, actually, on both Meetup and the Sierra Club, I have gone out on probably a dozen backpacking trips between the two with complete strangers. Just me, by myself. I went backpacking with people I never met before and had the best time. There's something about hikers and backpackers. We kind of get each other, so you can have as much alone time and as much interactive time as you want. They just really get it. And so I've always really loved backpacking meetups or backpacking groups at the Sierra Club. And I think the same would be true with hikers. You can go and again, stay tuned to the end, and I'm going to tell you how to start up a conversation to get over your fear of showing up to a group of people that you don't know. The other advantage to some of these, actually many of them, is if you show up to a Sierra Club group or a meetup group, chances are nobody else there knows anybody either, right? So it's not like you're walking into a clique. It's not like you're walking into a pre-established group or tribe, where it can be really intimidating to try to break in. People go to meetups and they go to Sierra Club and they go to these outings because they want to meet people. And so they're outgoing, they're friendly, they're welcoming, and they're in the same boat as you. They understand that it can be a little intimidating to walk into a group of people. And so maybe that'll help alleviate some of your fears about going into a group and trying out one of these things. Sierra Club. Love the Sierra Club. So check it out. Check out the local chapters where you are and see if there are any events going on that you can attend and go have fun. Okay, so the next 4 tips for getting interaction are a little bit lighter touch. For me, people ask me all the time, don't you get so lonely? Aren't you so lonely being out there on your own? And I have to admit, it's a little harder without Capone, and I have spent more time this year camped with people than I have in the 3 years prior. I've been on the road a few years now. I do know people. I'm able to meet up with friends and camp with them for a while and then move on when I need my alone time again. And that has been really helpful to me through my grieving process. But most of the time, when I'm out here all by myself, most of the time, and I need human interaction, again, mostly an introvert here, just going into town gives me the interaction that I need. But I'm an introvert, which means I need alone time to recharge after I'm around people, but I can be very outgoing. So just because you're introvert doesn't mean you're shy. I can strike up a conversation with somebody in the grocery store. And so that is my tip for you. That's number 3. Go out, go into town, go shopping, chat with people in line at Starbucks, chat with people, chat with the checkout lady at the grocery store or the lady filling your propane at Tractor Supply. Hey, are you from around here? Do you have any places that you would recommend that I need to see? As simple as that. And honestly, after a few hours in town, that's enough for me. I can go back out and I'm good. I'm good. And so that is another way to just get some human interaction if you feel like you've been alone too long. And it's a light touch, right? It's not like immersing yourself into a group where you might feel obligated to be on, where you might feel obligated to, put out all this energy. Going into town, whether you strike up conversations or not, can just be a good way to get your fill of human interaction. And while you're out, if you really want conversation, get a haircut. Seriously, get a haircut. I go to Supercuts these days because it's cheap and they do a decent enough job, and they're chatty, especially if you tell them, they often ask, what do you do for a living, and blah blah blah, and so that comes up. So once you start chatting about your life, most of the hairstylists that I have had are extremely interested and intrigued, and how do you do that? I want to do that. In fact, most people I tell about my lifestyle say, wow, how do you do that? I'd love to do that. And so that's always also a good conversation starter. I mean, you're not going to say, hey, I live in an RV and you want to chat about it. But when it comes up in conversation, it really is kind of a great way. You have to be careful, though. In some areas, that has been a conversation ender. So you kind of have to learn to play your crowd a little bit. I'm not really sure. I was in Arizona. No, I was in Nevada and getting my blood drawn. She was a younger phlebotomist. What are they called? Yeah, the person who takes your blood. She was younger and she was all chatty and chipper and everything. She's like, oh, so you're visiting? I'm like, well, no, this is my home base now. I travel a lot. And she's like, oh, really? What do you do? And so I told her, conversation ended. I don't know what happened. Something sucked the air out of that room. When I told her, no, I travel full time and I make videos. I mean, air just sucked out of that room. And I'm like, does she know me? Maybe she knows me. And maybe she's one of those people who don't like me. I know. Who could not like me? But anyway, the point is you kind of have to, sometimes it's a conversation starter. Sometimes it's a conversation ender. So you might want to be careful about who you tell. You probably don't want to go around broadcasting it to everybody, but oftentimes it can be a fun conversation with people who have dreamed about doing this life like we did. You'll end up inspiring someone. Who knows? So yeah, go get a haircut. Hairstylists are very chatty and you're sitting there for what, half hour, 45 minutes or longer. So that's enough human interaction for me usually. Number 4, if you really are tired of just being alone all the time, the wide open space all around you is just getting too loud, right? The silence is just getting too loud. Go to a campground. I mean, there's no harm in going to a campground once a month, once every couple of weeks, whatever you need to do to get your fill of being around people. And for some of you who are extremely introverted, that might be enough. Just parking around other people without necessarily even having one-on-one interaction. But what I would recommend doing is if you do want more interaction, go for a in the campground. People are very friendly in campgrounds, I have found. If you have a dog, they're even more friendly. But yeah, just go for a walk, go to a campground, go for a walk, just smile, put a smile on your face and say hi, good morning, nice day, you know, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to strike up conversations with people. Number 5, go eat out. Go to Starbucks, sit in Starbucks, sit in the cafe, eat out at a restaurant. And not a fast food restaurant, but like a real restaurant. And just, I don't know why not fast food. I'm thinking that if you want to strike up a conversation with somebody, you're probably more likely to do it in a real sit-down restaurant. Or if you work on the road like I do, take your laptop into Starbucks and work in Starbucks. And again, you may not get conversation, but you're going to get the feeling of people around you. You're going to get human interaction with the waiter. And you never know. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I have been in a restaurant eating alone and have struck up conversations with the people next to me, but that's just me. I mean, I'm really outgoing and I'm a big goofball. I don't care anymore, you know? I mean, if you think I'm a goofball, that's fine. And there have been times when they look at me and they're like, oh my God, you're weird. And so I just shut up and continue to eat my meal, but that's okay. But more often than not, I end up striking up a conversation with someone else. And if you are going to a restaurant by yourself and you're kind of scanning the restaurant and you feel like you want some interaction, look for somebody else who's sitting alone and sit near them. It might be easier to strike up a conversation with somebody else who's alone, or they might strike up a conversation with you, which is often the case with me. Just put a smile on your face, you know, square your shoulders, walk with confidence. You know, if you walk with your head down like this, nobody is going to, you're not opening yourself up to it, right? And I'm kind of getting a little bit into tips already, but you're not opening yourself up to it. So go eat out, go sit at Starbucks. Don't just get your coffee to go, sit at Starbucks, get some work done, write, whatever it is you want to do, or just sit there and people watch, right? Actually, that's another way that I didn't even have on my list. Go sightseeing. Take a tour. Oh my gosh, I should have put this on my list. Yeah, that would be a great way to meet people, or a great way to have some fun interaction and learn something. If you're in a town you've never been to before, or even if you are in a town that you have been to before, look up tours. Go find a tour and tour something fun. Or, you know, go visit a museum, or go sit in a town square and just people watch. You know, just get out of yourself for a while if that's something that you feel like you're needing because you've been alone too long. Number 6, the last thing I'm going to recommend is kind of along the same lines as maybe sightseeing, but you can go out and go see some live music. I went to my first concert alone right before I hit the road. Maybe even I had my RV already. And yeah, it was a little intimidating. I actually saw some people there that I knew, and I hung out with them for a while, and then I went off and did my own thing for a while, and then I ran into more people I knew and hung out with them for a while. But it's really not as bad as you think going to a concert by yourself. So a full-on concert, you're not going to meet people at a full-on concert most likely, but you're going to get a lot of energy, right? You're going to get a lot of human energy from a concert. But maybe you just go to a club and, you know, and listen to some live music. Find a local college and go to a lecture. A lot of colleges have guest speakers. They have lectures. The Commonwealth Club, I think, is only in San Francisco, but I'm a member of the Commonwealth Club, and they have academic speakers and things like that. And so when I'm in town, I haven't been to one of those in years, but I'm still a member, and I always think, well, someday I'll go back. But go to a lecture. Look at Eventbrite, EVENT. I'll put a link. I'll put it here in the captions. Eventbrite. Look at Eventbrite in your area, and you can look up different events that are going on in your area, and you can go to an event. You can go to a fair, go to a street fair, go to a farmer's market and chat up the people in the booths. They're dying to talk about their products to you. So yeah, be brave. Be brave. I mean, you were already brave enough to come out and live this life. So you're courageous. You have more courage than you know you have. And so if the thought about doing any of these things that I just talked about makes you feel too scared, remember, you're brave. You're here. Right? Most of the population don't have the nerve to chase their dreams the way you did. So what's talking to a stranger? You could do it. And I promised you 6 ways to get some human interaction when you're sick of being alone, but I have a bonus for you. I'm going to give you 7. And this is kind of one that's near and dear to my heart. I've done a lot of volunteer work since college. So yeah, number 7 is if you want to get out and meet people and get some human interaction and also kind of pay things forward a little bit and give some of your time and energy to those in need, volunteer work is a great way to do it. It's a great way to get out and meet people and also just to do some good in the world. And there are a lot of different places that you can volunteer that don't require any experience, and you can just look up the organizations where you're at, no matter what city, town, state you're in, and call them up and say, hey, I have some time. I'd like to do some volunteer work. Do you have anything for me? I mean, that would be a great way to get out of your shell. So awesome places that you can volunteer. National parks, food pantries, Habitat for Humanity, animal shelters, local libraries, art museums, political campaigns, YMCA, retirement homes, and the Red Cross. So again, you want to get out, you want to meet people. What an awesome way to do it. But what a wonderful way to give back to the community that you're visiting and that you're staying in, and also get to know some people while you're there. Now I'm going to give you my tips for how to get over your fear of crowds, to get over your fear of people, my tips for learning how to start a conversation. Number 1, if you are going to go to a meetup, for example, get there early. I always recommended to business owners going to networking events, you want to get there as early as possible. Why, you might ask? Because once the event has started and is in full swing, people have already grouped off. Right? And so then it becomes more intimidating to walk in and break into a group. If you get there early, when there's only a few people there, you've already got buddies, and then you become one of those groups, right? When the event starts rolling, you already know people because you got there early. And just remember, if you are in one of those groups and you see somebody new coming in, looking lost and looking around, invite them into your group. Hi, welcome, and make everyone else feel welcome too. Not only is that a good way to help another newcomer, it's just a nice thing to do, and then they have a friend in you, right? They're like, oh my gosh, look how nice this person is, welcoming me in to the group. And they're going to be relieved, and you're going to have a buddy for the rest of the night and introduce them to other people. But that's the tip number 1. If you're going to an event, get there early. And that can go for whether it's a meetup or a lecture or a concert. Show up early. when there are fewer people, it's going to be easier for you to meet people and to strike up a conversation. And if you're doing a Sierra Club event or a meetup, a backpacking meetup, for example, or a hiking meetup, offer to carpool. I used to do that. For me, at first I was like, no, I want to be alone. I want to drive alone. But then I found that carpooling, whether I drove or I drove with someone else, I have instant people I know. I have instant camaraderie with the people that I carpool with. 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in a car together, you really get to know someone. And so by the time you show up at the bigger group of 10 people, you've got a buddy. And you don't have to feel so alone. You're not walking in alone. So carpooling on a longer event, if you're going on a hike or a backpacking trip, offer to drive if you can. I mean, we live in our vehicles, so that may not be reasonable. Or you can just put out, does anybody want a carpool? And most of the time somebody will say yeah. And you can hitch a ride with somebody else and meet somebody one-on-one without the intimidation of walking into a group alone. Yeah. And tip number 2, for talking to strangers and meeting people. People love to talk about themselves, right? We all love to talk about ourselves. Well, why is that? Because we know ourselves better than we know anything. Well, some of us more than others, but that's another story. But we love to talk about ourselves. We love to share our experiences. We love to talk about that new hat we got, or the new dress, or the new shoes. We love to talk about ourselves. So if you are a person who walks into an event, walks into a group, walks into a meetup, and asks the other person questions about themselves, again, you're going to have instant camaraderie. You're going to have an instant connection. Wow, I love that hat. Where did you get that? Just like that. That's all you have to do. I love that hat. Where did you get that? Start up a conversation. And remember, sometimes I do this too much and I think people feel like they're being grilled. I did it to a woman in Canada. I kept seeing them stopping along the way, taking pictures, and she had a really nice camera. And I'm inquisitive, I'm curious, I ask a lot of questions, and finally, like the third time I ran into them, I was like, wow, I love that camera, really fancy camera, and so, where did you get it, and do you love it? And I noticed she pulled the camera in and immediately got back in her van. She started, I think she thought I was going to rob her. Which is really funny. So yeah, maybe you don't want to be like grilling people and giving them the third degree. Be a little mindful about, shooting off the questions and trying to have a two-way conversation. But if there's ever a lapse in the conversation, are you from here? Did you grow up here? Oh, really? Okay. Where do you recommend? What Mexican restaurant do you recommend? I love Italian food. Are there any good Italian restaurants in town? If there's ever a lapse in conversation, those are great questions. You're from out of town. There's a million things that you can ask. Is there anything that you recommend I have to see? And again, I wouldn't start off the bat in a situation like that where you're going to meet people. You may not want to start off with, I live in an RV, or I live in a van, and, where can I park for free? You might not want to start with that. Just the perception, people might get the wrong idea. Let them get to know you better before you bring that up in a situation like that. I mean, a haircut, drawing my blood, whatever. I'm in and out in a half hour. I don't really care. I'll never see them again. It doesn't matter to me. But if you are in a group of people where, you might hope to make some friendships, or at least hope to have some connections so that, you want to go back, then you might want to just hold off a little bit, because people's preconceived ideas about this lifestyle can get in the way of them getting to know you as a person. So when in doubt, always ask about the other person. If you can keep them talking about themselves, they will love you forever. And that means having a little bit of self-awareness, not going on and on and on about yourself, because the other person might be doing the same thing, right? They might be trying to draw you out and asking you questions about yourself. And so they may be like, are you from around here? So that's going to be tough. Are you from around here? And you might want to say, no, I'm just visiting, but you also don't want to go on and on and on and on and on and on. You have to remember kind of some self-awareness, pause, take a break, and remember reciprocity, okay? No, I'm not. How about you? And just really keep trying to engage them instead of having it. You don't want it to be a one-sided conversation on either side, but if you're going to err on the side of caution, the one-sidedness is better being on the other person than on you. Okay, and number 3 is to just be confident. Smile, be confident. Walk through life with your head held high, your shoulders square, and a smile on your face. And that goes a long way toward meeting people. I have always been called bubbly. I've always had like a lot of energy, always been outgoing. And even though I'm an introvert, yes, I'm very outgoing. And so it's never been a problem with me. People just smile and talk to me. I had a conversation in Pete's Coffee yesterday. The lady in front of me and the cashier were talking about a trip abroad that she had just taken. They were looking at me and they're like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, oh, no, not at all. I'm very interested. Tell me more. And we stood there and talked for like 15 or 20 minutes. And so it's super easy. So remember, just smile, and the world loves you. I guess there's no other way to say it. The world loves you. I think a lot of us, because of the things that we have been through, and I still struggle with this on a daily basis, think the opposite, that the world doesn't love me. And oftentimes, honestly, I struggle a little bit with self-confidence. Sometimes I'll walk away and say, oh my God, that was so stupid. Why did I say that? I stuck my foot in my mouth. Oh my gosh, what the hell, So we all have those moments, but the more you put yourself out there, the more you practice these tips that I have given you, the more confident you're going to be. And even if you do stick your foot in your mouth, if somebody shuts you down, if somebody grabs her camera and runs in her van because she thinks you're trying to rob her, so what? You're never going to see that person again. That's on them. It's not on me. I know my intentions are good. We can't control other people. We can't, we can't control other people. We can't control what other people think about us. All we can do is put our best foot forward every day and try to do better than we did the day before. So go through life, forge forward, grasshopper, with confidence and a smile. A smile and a hello will go a long way. I hope you found that helpful so that you never have to be alone more than you want to be ever again. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, be happy, be free, and be kind. Mwah. I'll see you soon.